Welcome to chair yoga. This will be a seated 30-minute stretching class. We will go ahead and start today. Feet flat on the floor. Let those shoulders fall down out of your ears. Taking a nice deep inhale through our nose. Big exhale out through your mouth. Starting to slow down our breathing. Maybe you let those eyes come close. Again, nice deep inhale, filling that belly full of air. Big exhale out through your mouth. Let's tuck that chin in towards our chest, rolling that head out in a circle. Nice and slow, taking our time here. If at any point you need to stop for a second and just hold, go ahead and do so. We'll go about 2 or 3 circles in one direction, and when you're ready, go ahead and switch, rolling that head out in that opposite way. And when you're ready, head will come back up to the middle. Making sure we're sitting nice and tall in our chair. Our left ear is going to drop down to our left shoulder. That right hand can gently grab underneath your seat, helping to elongate that stretch all the way down through our shoulder. And we're just holding here, still focusing on our breaths in through our nose, out through our mouth. Slowly releasing their head can come back to the center. And we'll go ahead and switch sides. Right ear down to your right shoulder. Left hand grabbing underneath our seat. And gently releasing, coming back to the center. Moving into some shoulder rolls next. Taking a nice big inhale, pulling those shoulders up towards your ears. Big exhale, sending them down your back. Again, inhale, pull those shoulders up. Exhale, letting them fall back. Turning our shoulder rolls into some arm circles. So now we'll take a nice big reach up towards the ceiling. Both arms, big circle back around. Again, nice big reach up towards the ceiling and circle around. Trying to get as big of range of motion here as you can. Nice big reach to the ceiling. Good, let's go ahead, switch direction with those arm circles. Moving to the back and coming forward. Last one. And arms can come back down. Good. Next we have our cactus arms. So sitting tall again in our chair. Taking a nice big inhale, those arms are going to reach straight up towards the ceiling. Nice big stretch up. On an exhale, I'm thinking about pulling those elbows down towards my rib cage. Chin is going to point up towards that ceiling. Should get a nice big opening feeling through your chest, through the front of your neck. Good. Again, big inhale, reach straight up towards the ceiling. Exhale, pull those elbows down. Chin goes towards the ceiling. 2 more. Big inhale, reach. Exhale, pull down. Last one, inhale. And exhale. And letting those arms relax. Take a few seconds here, maybe shake out those shoulders. Rock that head side to side. Good. Scooting a little bit out to the edge of our chair, we're going to do our crossbody reaches. So that left hand is going to get a big reach over to the right. I'm thinking about belly button up, turning over to that right side. Shoulders and head follow, big reach. Should feel this from that hip all the way up through the side of your arm. And come back to the center. Switching sides, right arm gets that big reach over to the left. Back to the center, one more time, each side, turn and reach. See if you can reach a little bit farther. Back to the middle, last side, turn and reach. Stretch out as far as you can. And back to the center. Good. Moving down to our lower body, we'll start with our feet. We're gonna rock up onto our toes, back onto your heels. Rock forward to toes, back to heels. Keep going. Last two. Last one. Good. Relax those feet for a second. You can kind of wiggle those toes around in your shoes. Good. All right. We are still staying right in the middle of our chair, letting those shoulders lean back a little bit. Left leg, we're going to pull that knee in towards our chest, almost like we're going to give it a big hug. And then straightening that leg as long as you can. Toes stay pointed to the ceiling. And then I'm going to point that toe out in front of me. Pull it back towards my shin. Big point out in front. Pull back. Point. Pull back. Good. Bringing that left knee back in towards my chest. This time I am going to give it a big hug, wrapping around the outside of my shin, or else grabbing underneath my thigh as well, if you would like that option as well. Nice big hug here. You can kind of roll out that ankle as we're holding here if that feels good. Going both directions with those ankle circles. And when you're ready, carefully letting go of that leg, setting it back down to the ground. We'll switch to that right side. So again, sitting in the middle of my chair, letting those shoulders lean back, pulling that right knee in towards my chest, extending that leg long. Good. Toes pointed to the ceiling. I'm going to point them out away from me, pulling back towards me. Out, back in. One more point out. Good. Then we're drawing that right knee in towards our chest, giving it a nice big hug, either on the outside of our shin or grabbing underneath that thigh. And as we're holding here, rolling that ankle out in some circles. And then switching directions with those ankle rolls. And relaxing that leg back down to the ground. Good. Working on opening those hips a little bit next. Left leg, we're going to think about pulling that knee up towards our chest, taking a big step out to the outside of my chair, and then big step back in towards the middle. Again, thinking about making this a big movement, that hip muscle doing all of that work. There's two. Fifth one, we're going to take that big step out to the side. That left forearm can melt down onto your thigh. Right arm is going to get a nice big reach up and over. If reaching up and over is too much, you can always turn towards that left knee as well and reach across. Again, whichever feels best for you, holding here. Should be feeling a stretch on that inner thigh as well as your opposite side. Nice and slowly coming back to the center. One more time, big reach up and over. And carefully coming back to the middle. Walking that left foot back in towards the center. We'll repeat that same thing on our right side. Right leg is going to get that big step open out to the outside of your chair. Pull it back in towards the middle. Again, big step open. All of that movement coming from your hip. Try to really pick that foot up off the floor. Fifth one, big step open to the side. That right forearm can melt down onto your right thigh. Left arm is getting our big reach up and over this time. Holding here, feeling that inner thigh stretch and that side body stretch. Nice and slow, pushing back towards the center. We'll do that one more time on this side. Big reach up and over. See maybe if you can reach a little bit farther this time. And coming back through the center. Right leg can walk back to the middle. Good. Moving into our hip flexor stretch next. So we're thinking about stretching the front side of those hips. I'm going to turn my entire body over to the left side of my chair. So as I do that, my right knee is going to slowly start to drop down to the floor. Okay. Should start to feel a stretch in the front of that hip, right through that hip flexor. If that's not enough, you can walk those toes back behind you. Try to straighten that back leg. Left hand is grabbing onto the back side of my chair, helping me sit up nice and tall. Shoulders, head are turned over to that left side. Again, we're just holding here. You can kind of play around with those right toes, maybe walking them back a little bit farther to get a little bit more stretch through that right hip flexor. If you'd like to take that stretch up the right side of your body, you can reach that right arm up and over for a nice big side bend towards the back of your chair. Again, this is optional. You can always just stay right where you're at. If you have that arm raised, go ahead, melting it back down towards our side. We're going to do a small twist here. So now I am going to have everyone take that right hand. You're going to turn to face the back of your chair. So I'm adding a small spinal twist here. You'll feel this in that low back area. If this is uncomfortable at all, you can always just come back facing that left side. As you're holding here in a twist, try to relax, deepen those breaths a little bit more. And go ahead, gently releasing. Walking those right toes back to the middle. Turning ourselves back through center. And we're taking it over to our left side, our right side, excuse me. So right side, that left knee is on the outside. It's going to start to drop down towards the floor. Again, starting to feel that stretch here in the front of that hip flexor. Working those toes back behind you if you need a little bit more of that stretch. That right hand is grabbing onto the back side of your chair, helping keep you upright. Holding here, Maybe walking those toes back a little bit more to get a little bit more into that stretch. If you would like to add a little bit more through the side of our body, that left arm can get a big reach up and over towards the back side of your chair. Totally optional. You can always keep that left hand just down by your side. Go ahead, bring that arm back down towards your side if you had it extended overhead. This time I will have everyone take that left hand and we're going to twist and turn to face the back of our chair. Coming into that spinal twist here on our left side. Again, if this is too uncomfortable, you can always just come back to face that right hand side. And we're just holding here. Inhaling through our nose, out through our mouth. Go ahead, gently releasing those hands, walking those left toes all the way back to the center, and we're turning back to the middle of our chair. Next, we have our figure 4 stretch. So really working on the outsides of those hips. Few different options for this stretch. Okay, option number 1 would to be crossing low at our ankles. If you are crossed low at your ankles, I simply want you to bend forward at your waist, reach out towards those toes. Okay. Option 2, if you are able to cross your ankle over your knee, perfect. Once you are here, you might start to feel that stretch in the outside of your hip. If you need a little bit more, again, bending at that waist, letting that upper body melt over those thighs. And again, we're just holding this stretch here. Should feel that kind of in the outside of that hip, outside of that glute area. We will be holding this for a little bit more of an extended period, about 30 seconds. A great time to really start to focus on our breathing. With your exhale, allowing you to sink a little bit farther into this stretch. If at any time you need to sit back up, readjust, go ahead and do so. Nice and slowly, we're going to work ourselves all the way back up. Go ahead, either uncross at those ankles or across your knee. We'll repeat that same thing on our opposite side. So right leg, you're either going to cross on top of those ankles and reach out towards your toes. Or else if you're able to, crossing that right ankle over your left knee. And again, bending forward at that waist if you need a little bit more of a stretch. And using those nice big exhales, sinking deeper into our stretch here. You may have noticed one side maybe feels a little bit tighter or looser than the other. And that's perfectly normal. Our bodies are not perfectly symmetrical. So one side might be a little bit easier or harder than the other. And that's okay. Few more seconds here, doing good. Carefully and slowly pressing yourself back up out of your stretch. Uncrossing those legs. Great. Next, we'll have our hamstring stretch, kind of feeling the stretch through the whole back side of our leg. So we'll start with just that left leg going straight out in front of us. I'm planting that left heel on the floor. Toes are pointed up towards the ceiling. I can have a slight bend in that knee if I need it. And then I'm slowly just working my way, reaching that hand out towards my ankle. Maybe you're able to reach out towards those toes. Wherever you start to feel that stretch through the back side of your leg, I want you to just hold here, focusing on our breathing, allowing that body to relax. Maybe with an exhale, you can inch a little bit deeper into this stretch. Or stay where you're at. That is perfect as well. Nice and slowly, we're going to walk ourselves all the way back up. That left leg can come back in towards the center. And we'll switch sides. Right leg goes straight out in front of us. Again, heel is planted on the floor. Toes up towards the ceiling. And slowly inching those fingers out towards my ankle, up towards your toes. Wherever you start to feel that nice deep stretch through the back side of your leg, that is where I want you to hold. Using our exhales to inch a little bit farther into our stretch here. And when we're ready, working ourselves all the way back up to the center, nice and slow. Perfect. Next, we're going to take both of those legs straight out in front of us, planted on our heels, toes towards the ceiling. Again, keeping a nice little bend in those knees if you need it. Checking in with that posture, make sure you are seated nice and tall. Taking a nice big deep breath in, arms are going to reach straight above our head. On that exhale, I'm bending forward at that waist, reaching both hands out towards my toes. Trying to reach as far as we can comfortably out here. Getting that double leg forward fold. Should be getting that stretch through both sides, backs of your legs. And with your exhales, maybe working out a little bit farther towards those toes. Good. Nice and slowly, kind of one vertebrae at a time, we're going to raise all the way back to the center of our chairs. Head is that last thing to come up. Taking a moment here at the top, readjusting, shaking out those shoulders, wiggling out that neck. Go ahead, scooting back in your chair. We're going to grab our resistance bands. Doing a few upper body stretches with those resistance bands. So we're going to start with those arms straight out from our shoulders. So I have quite a bit of space between my hands on the band. Again, posture is nice and upright. I'm doing a band pull apart. So I'm thinking about using those shoulder blades to help pull that band apart as they pinch nice and tight. Big opening here. And then nice and slowly coming back to the center, trying not to let that band snap back to the middle. Again, big pull apart, pinch those shoulder blades together. Nice and slow, back to the middle. Few more here. Big pull off apart. Should be feeling that pinch in those shoulder blades. Back to the middle. Last one. Pull that band apart. And relaxing back to the center. Take a second, kind of wiggle out those shoulders. I know it kind of gets a little bit of burn there. Okay, next one is similar, a little bit more range of motion in those shoulders. We're bringing that band all the way up above our head. So if you need to, going a little bit wider with those hands on the band. This time I'm trying to pull that band apart, bringing that band to kind of touch the top of those shoulder blades and back to the middle. If that is too far, you can always pull that band apart to tap the top of your forehead, crown of your head, and come back to the center. Still should be feeling those shoulder blades working, pinching together, and releasing back to the middle. Two more. Big pull apart. Last one. And to the center. Again, taking a second, shaking out those shoulders. All right, last one with our bands. We'll go ahead and thread it behind that lower back. Once I grab onto the band, I'm thinking about those palms facing forward away from my body. Okay. So keeping my hands nice and low, I'm going to spread those arms low and wide as I kind of puff that chest out. Chin is going to raise up towards the ceiling. Should get a nice stretch kind of through the front of those armpits, shoulder area, through my chest, through the front of my neck. And relaxing back to the middle. Same thing again, wide and low with those arms, puff that chest out, chin raises to the ceiling. Still breathing here. And relax. We'll do that one more time when you're ready. Arms go wide and low, chin to the ceiling. And relaxing. Good. Go ahead, taking that band, setting it off to the side. We'll do a few more shoulder and wrist stretches here before we finish. Left arm is going to get a big reach across my chest. That right hand is going to pull that left arm in nice and tight, making sure to keep that left shoulder pulled down out of my ear. And I'm holding here, feeling that stretch down through my shoulder, maybe through the outside of my arm. Releasing there, we'll switch sides. So that right arm will cross in front of our chest, left hand pulls it in. Again, shrugging that shoulder down out of your ear. And releasing that arm. Stretching out our wrists next. That left arm is going to extend straight out in front of us. Fingers are going to point down towards the floor. Right hand is gently just going to pull back on that hand. Should be getting a stretch on the top side of my wrist here. We'll switch those right fingertips, or left fingertips, excuse me, going up towards the ceiling, pulling back. Feeling that stretch through the back side of our wrist. Releasing that hand here, kind of rolling that wrist out, wiggling those fingers. Switching sides, right arm is going to go out in front of us, fingertips towards the floor, gently pulling back on that hand. Stretch through the top side of our wrist. Switching here, those fingertips go up towards the ceiling, gently pulling back, stretch through the backside of our wrist. And releasing there, doing a few more wrist circles, almost like you're making a figure 8 motion with those wrists. And then nice big squeeze with those hands like you're making a nice tight fist. And then a big wiggle out with all of those fingers. That should feel really good in case you have any arthritis, aches or pain in those wrists and fingers. Good. As we close out our practice today, go ahead scooting back in your chair, finding that nice comfortable position we started with. So again, letting those shoulders come down out of your ears. Feet can relax on the floor. Maybe you let those eyes come close again, or a nice low gaze out in front of you. Tuning back in towards our breathing. So that inhale is coming in through our nose, expanding that belly full of air. Exhale, we're sighing it all out through our mouth. Starting to relax those muscles we worked today. So doing a little body scan here if you'd like to follow along. Starting at our forehead, unfurrowing those eyebrows, unclenching our jaw, untucking that tongue from the roof of your mouth. Letting those shoulders melt down out of your ears. Releasing any tension we may be holding in our chest or our stomach area. Letting our backs just melt into our backrests. Glutes are melted down into our seats. Relaxing any tension we may be holding in our hips, our thighs, our knees. And letting it all melt out through our calves, all the way out through our toes. Letting full relaxation come over your body here. We'll take these last few minutes just to sit in some stillness and quiet. Focus should be on our breathing. In through the nose, out through your mouth. You'd start to like to bring a little bit of life back to your body, maybe wiggling out those fingers and toes. Maybe gently rocking that head side to side. Checking in with your posture, make sure that we are seated nice and tall in our chairs. We'll finish with 2 big deep breaths together. On your next inhale, go ahead, raise those arms up towards the ceiling. Nice big stretch in. Big exhale out, letting those hands melt back down towards your sides. Last one, big inhale. Last big stretch up towards the ceiling. Exhale, hands can come down through heart center. Good. Thank you all for joining me today.